Inequality is the theme of our campaign. We are launching the Faces of Inequality campaign here in the Asia Pacific, but this is a global campaign that wants to make visible, people who are suffering from inequality. Inequality is not only economic inequality, it is also social inequality, the lack of participation of people in political spheres. So those are the things that we want to carry on in the next so many years, especially in 2019, when we are looking at the review of the SDGs under the auspices of the General Assembly.
Inequality, to my mind, is a direct attack on the core human values, the core of humanity. We need to be very clear that when we are talking of inequality, we are not talking of only economic inequality. We need to see it from the lens of social inequality, be it gender, caste, class, race, regional imbalances, and so on. I think it's critical, if we are trying to address inequality, that we actually start looking at transforming the system and not incremental change, which would really mean looking at the unequal trade and financial architecture. It would mean fundamentally altering social relationships of patriarchy, of nationalities, of race.
For me, inequality is watching Pacific Islands atolls drown. That's the ultimate manifestation of inequality for me. We are at the mercy of other countries and other bigger nations that can consume as much as they can without having to face the consequences or be at the front line.
So inequality means, to my context, is mostly related to the environmental pollution, environmental destruction, land grabbing, and even the climate change impacts happening at the moment on the ground. And unless we ensure that the human rights violations are stopped by the big corporations and the rich countries, and also the rich people, so we cannot expect to get away with this inequality issue.
We were told the statistics show that globally you had black people being discriminated against. And what I found very interesting is that they say among black people, it's Africans who are most discriminated against. And then the statistics went down to say, and among Africans, the lowest of the ladder is an African woman.
So many of these countries in the world actually talk about the fact that they guarantee gender equality. They talk about, or they have it on their document, but the practice is totally different. That's why our work is important. If they have it on the document, why is the practice different? Then we still have a lot of work to do to compel our governments to tell them, no, you signed on this document. What therefore are the solutions to these double discrimination issues we've been lamenting for years? Many of us were born into discrimination. Our children are born into discrimination. When do we stop? When do we stop lamenting? In 2030? Do you think it will end by 2030? Will we solve it by 2030? I'll be happy to wait and see if we solve it.
But the question is, why this campaign? And for GCAP, from the global to the regional to the national level, what we do is we raise our voices. Our culture in Africa does not permit us, especially women, to talk. But for GCAP, we do campaigns, we raise our voices, we need to push our leaders, we ensure that we put them on their toes to address all these issues that have been raised.
On a tout écrit dans les rapports, on a tout mis dans les documents, on a donné des chiffres, on a donné des arguments, on a fait les mobilisations, mais ça n'a pas changé. Parce que c'est la société, c'est la personne qui est dans une condition d'inégalité, c'est cette personne même qui va jouer le rôle, qui va jouer le véritable rôle de changement. Ce n'est pas en réalité ceux qui gouvernent ou bien ceux qui prennent les décisions qui vont faire le changement.
Would you like a world without poverty, without inequalities, with justice, with peace, it depends also on you. One thing you can do is join us. Let's act together to remember this commitment, to feed this commitment, to call our government, but most of all, to start working and walking together to build in our everyday life justice and peace, to reduce inequalities, to make our lives a contribution for a world with a better dignity for everybody.
Massive poverty and obscene inequality are such terrible scourges of our time, times in which the world boasts breathtaking advances in science, technology, industry, and wealth accumulation, that they have to rank alongside slavery and apartheid as social evil.